holiest person ever in my whole life. But at the same time, I mean, she was tough, a tough Marine. She was 4 feet 11. Her and her sisters, they're missing as a charity, MC, Marine Corps MC. You know, I always equated the two together. So she was like a tough Marine, and she said, no problem, I'm going in. So she did. She went into projects. They were shooting at the sisters. They were actually shooting, not to shoot to kill, but just to scare them, right? Mother didn't care, walked right in, talked to the head gang leader, explained what they were doing, what she's going to do. I saw him coming every day. She won the gang leader over. You know, she won the gang leader over, and she says, no problem, the sisters can come in. So again, fearless. Mother Teresa is fearless. Her sisters are fearless. We need to be fearless. You know, it's funny, when I was a kid, my father was on the lam from the FBI. My mother had 800 nervous breakdowns. She's mentally ill from all the stuff that was going on. So I used to go down, I'm from Providence, tough Italian section, mob section. So I used to go down to the Honorable Boys Club down there, and I used to box, and I was good. I was really good. And I used to always fought like an age group above mine. So then after that, they had the Unionville Library, and I used to walk in there once in a while, and I didn't want anybody to see me in there. So I'd go in, and I told the librarian, just give me a seat in the back where no one will see me, because I'm embarrassed. I don't want to be embarrassed being seen in the library, because it's a sign of weakness. So I did. She gave me a seat back there, and the first book that I read, I was like 12, was Crazy Horse, Chief Crazy Horse, you know, great warrior, great warrior. And he used to have his sacred bag that he felt they used to protect him, you know. I got a big, you know, it really made an impression on me. So I started carrying the rosary beads, right? And I carried them then. I'm going to be 75. I'm still carrying them. So, you know, to me, they're my beads. They protect me. I've been through a lot of things. I was on a hockey team in 9th grade. I came running out on the ice. I went through the ice. My head came up. I banged my head on the ice, came back down. The water was so filthy and murky and dirty, I couldn't find a hole. So I just said, that's it. This is it. But my teammates, they all got on their belly, and they stuck the hockey stick through, and I saw the hockey stick, and they pulled me out. So that was one thing. When I then cut to, when I was 18, 19 years old, I was in the Marine Corps. 19, I was fighting in Nam. I was from 3rd Marine Division. I was an infantry team leader, then squad leader. I fought right on the first I caught, the most dangerous part of Vietnam. My first time I got chopping into the bush, and we'd go out there for 6 weeks, 8 weeks at a time. We just took a hill. 18 Marines were wounded. We put them on a Chinook helicopter. They had 2 Navy corpsmen with them. Chopper goes up, RPG hits them. Everybody fries. There's no where you can undo the fire, or you got a hose there or something like that. Everybody just fries. So you're watching it. You're watching everybody fry at 19 years old. So my prayer to God was, I don't want to be saved. I'm not better than anybody. I'm not better than them. I'm no better than anybody. So I'm going to get killed. I said to myself, I'm never going to survive this. But I said, but just do me a favor. I said to God, let me at least live like 2 more months. Because I hung around with 30, 40 guys, tough guys back in the neighborhood. And like if they saw like I went and I got killed right away, I look weak. So I didn't want to, I just, let me at least live like 2 months. I just like, well, at least I get killed later. You know what I mean? I don't want to get killed early. So that was one incident. Another time when he called, my squad was out. I had this new kid, Hughes, he was behind me. And we got ambushed. So one of the bullets went flying by my head and killed the guy to the side of me. Hughes got a quarter round right in his chest. One of my team leaders got shot in the legs. So we all hit the deck. So I ran out and I grabbed my team leader and I pulled him out of the line of fire, and he was dead weight. Then I grabbed Hughes, you know, and he's got this. I open up his flak jacket, and he's got a hole in him like a silver dollar bill. No, it's not bill, silver dollar, like a coin. And it was like, holy my God! In my mind, I was saying, he's dead. So I had a 45 here. I took the 45, put it to his head, and because he was screaming, I told him, I'll kill you myself with a lot of expletives. And I just was going crazy on him. I said, I'll shoot you myself. Shut up, right? But I said it a lot worse than that. And because what I wanted to do was, I saw enough of combat where a lot of people die of shock first, They go into shock and they die before the wound kills them. So I want them to be more afraid of me than the wound. So he shut up, got everybody online, that Marine Corps discipline where, you know, you just get up and do it, do your job. Everybody gets online, we go forward and we fight. Someone's gonna get killed, but at least we're not all gonna get killed. So that's one of the things that we do, that why Marine Corps is so famous for, the discipline. And also the second thing is, when you're in a situation where a lot of you guys got killed and, you know, they're hiding, some of the enemy is hiding with the civilians, you wanna kill everybody. You just do. So you have that discipline. No, you can't do that because you don't want to hurt innocent people. It's another thing we do. So we got online, fought them off, captured some of their weapons. Well, an hour later, they come to rescue us. Of course, it's all over. So they put the people in the dead in the body bags and chop them out. And the kid Hughes went to a hospital ship, and then he went to a hospital in Japan. And he lived. I couldn't believe it. I said, and I'm 19 years old. It's making an impression on me. I said, holy mackerel, this kid lived. I can't believe he lived. Never in a million years I thought he'd live. So then, shortly after that, we got another firefight. My buddy Danny Nelson, who comes from Rhode Island, I didn't know him here. I met him out there. He's from Coventry. And he got his third wound. And he was worried about someone going to prom with his girl. So we'll put him on the chopper saying, it's your third wound. It's no big deal. We want pictures of the prom, you know. Let us know what's going on, right? But that next day, my lieutenant came up to me and told me he died. He died of shock. So as a 19-year-old kid, it made an impression on me. It was like, wow. In other words, like, there's a plan, there's a blueprint out there. Why do some people just die like this? Other people live long, other people survive these tragic things. I was trying to figure it out. So then I came back from Nam. I worked construction. I was putting sewer lines in. Back then, it wasn't the plastic pipe, it was that clay, heavy 300-pound pipes. So I'm in the whole 12-foot trench, and you put the pipe in, you get a big bar, you put the grease around it, and you pop it in. And the trench caves in on me. So you get buried by the sand like this. They talked about it, and it actually happened. I couldn't believe how fast it happened. So I pulled my arm out, what do you call it? Somebody pulled me out, so I escaped that. Then I was in a car, I was going on 195, I was going to work, and I had this little Austin Healey. And I'm driving, I'm doing like 60, 70 miles an hour. And all of a sudden, I'm in the air, I'm flying in the air, and the little Austin Healey. I said, what am I doing? I'm like, what happened is that the rear axle fell off. So it hit the ground, and I'm on 195, and I'm sliding on the ground into the other car that's coming, right? I said, that's it, I'm done. And it came right here and stopped. I didn't get nothing happened to me. I couldn't believe it. So again, I always think, at that point, I always thank the Blessed Mother for protecting me. You know, I just felt that Woody Coach had a hand and helped me out here. So then I was a kickboxer. I'm a George Vasari black belt. I was a professional fighter, and I always fought as a light heavyweight. I'm a light heavyweight. I always fought at 172 pounds, but I always fought as a heavyweight. I fought guys that were 220, 230. I fought a kid in New Haven that was 250. I went to Wichita, Kansas, and fought the #1 fighter in the Southwest, Sam Price, and he was ranked #4 in the country. And I lost. It was a good fight, though. And how do I know it's a good fight? Because his guys came up to me later and wanted to know who I was. And it was like, why? I lost. And he said, no, we never see anybody lose like that. In other words, you caught shots that couldn't believe you're still standing, you're throwing, punches back, So it was good. It was pretty cool. So at one point, then I'm bouncing down the Gladiator, which is Capriccio's now. It's a big, big club back then. In fact, they made a movie, The Vote, and in The Vote, they got the club, the Gladiator, because that's the time it was when they robbed the Vote, and that's the mob, and they all used to come down there, and I used to deal with all of them. I dealt with all the mob guys, all the captains, all the crew, the whole thing. But I knew how to handle them. So when they come in, I'd make sure that they didn't pay no money to get in. I told the waitress, feed them free drinks, treat them like gold, they'll be fine. And they were good. They always behaved. They gave me that respect. You goes at the door, we'll let it go. So that was cool. But I went out, I used to fight 3, 4 guys at a time if I had to. And I used to try to, if I could end it with a slap, I would. If I have to go farther, I had to go farther. I had one guy He came in, he was 6'4", constantly bothering the girls, walked out. They were nice girls, just trying to meet somebody. And he was grabbing their butts, and I told him to knock it off. And he said to me, what are you going to do about it? So I put him in a hospital, with his head hanging over the curbstone. So I went to the Franciscan priests that were at downtown Providence. And I told them I felt bad. You know, I said, this is what happened, this is what happened. I banged him out. And so the priest said to me, he'll never do that again. The Franciscan priest, he goes, you taught him a lesson, 3 Hail Marys. So that was a true story. So that was good. I always appreciated the Franciscans for that. So at one point, you know, I also dealt with a mob captain that gave us a hard time. I went head to head with him in terms of, you know, standing up to him. Another mob guy, and I know he killed 7 people. And I couldn't let it go. He was insulting a black friend of mine. And he kept calling him a nigger, and I said, no, he's not that. Here's his name, don't call him that. And we went boom, 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 closer and closer and closer. So another mob guy who was in his 50s, who we all have to respect, he came in and said, no, this isn't going to happen. And he broke it up. But I carried my gun with me for a few months because I figured I was going to get whacked like when I came in at 3:30 in the morning, when I used to get out of my job. So that's kind of the background. I went to URI, I got a bachelor's degree. While I was doing all of this. And so then I read about Mother Teresa, who no one really knows who she is, and I was really impressed. I said, wow, this woman is really doing something. So one night I called, and I didn't know how to get in touch with them, nothing. I just said, Missionaries of Charity, I knew them in New York. So the operator said, they're in the Bronx, the South Bronx. So she gave me a number, I called, and the sister said to me, if you're here tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, you can see Mother Teresa, because she's going to be leaving. So I drove there, didn't know how to get there, no GPS, nothing, no map, just general directions. So I went to the Northern Bronx. They told me, no, you're in the Northern Bronx. So I finally got to the South Bronx. And back then, the South Bronx, they made a movie, Fort Apache. That's how bad it was. It was the most dangerous neighborhood in the country. Burnt out buildings, it looked like Berlin. Burnt out buildings all over the place. And I kept walking around where her convent was supposed to be. I'm saying, where's the convent? Right? You know, I'm thinking of a regular convent. And all of a sudden I see Bob Wyatt, and I see a little statue of the Blessed Mother, maybe this big, and I saw Missionaries of Charity, real humble. So I went in, and they had Mass, I went to Mass. It was a really small place at the time. They expanded it later. And I had a nice long talk with Mother. We sat and we talked for a good hour. And I said to myself, oh my God, this woman you can never lie to, never. She just sees right through you, you know, just a holy, holy person. So I said, we clicked. She said, you know what, Hugo, she says, I said to him, I saw a lot of combat, I did a lot of fighting. I said, I just want to do something to balance that out. So I like to go to India and work there. She says, I need you here. She goes, go home, sell everything, come back in a few weeks, and work I need you in the South Bronx right now. So I said, all right. So I went home, sold everything. I had the motorcycle back then too, whole thing, got rid of everything, came back. And the first day I got there, they have these people that come down, they're called Friends of Mother Teresa from Westchester County, which is kind of a really nice area. So they'd come down maybe every 5 or 6 weeks for a Sunday. So I didn't notice, but when they saw me, they said to the sisters, oh, no, you can't have this guy Hugo working with you, forget it. He's a thug. He said, this is not the guy you want. So you got to get rid of him. So I didn't notice. So at one point, one of the Sister Andrea said to me, Hugo, give us a ride down to the Chancery downtown, Manhattan. I said, absolutely. So I jumped in my car, I took him down there. So we get out of the car, and we're walking, towards 2nd, 3rd Avenue. And this guy, he's like 26 years old, he's like 6'3", big guy. He comes charging down at the sisters to attack the sisters. I couldn't believe it. I don't know if he's mentally ill or what. I pushed the sisters out of the way, and I started fighting. And, of course, I started beating him. And I just chased him up the hill. That was it. So I came back, I told the sisters, don't worry about it. They were saying, I said, this is nothing. I do this is what I do for a living. It's not a problem. So, so that night, I found this out later. That night, they called Sister and said, you get rid of him. Did you get rid of that guy, Hugo? And she said, Hugo stays. So that was good. So just, you never know, So as a quote here I really liked, it said, sometimes I don't see it here, but basically what it says is sometimes, we think we have our criteria. It's not God's criteria. Sometimes we look at somebody and say, well, this person should be like this or that, and that's not how God sees us. And it's true. I see it over and over. Think of Moses. Two of the greatest men in the Old Testament was Moses and Elijah, the prophet. Moses got to talk to God, and Elijah goes up on a chariot to heaven with God. And they were real men. They were fearless, but they had times. What I love about them is that they're human. Here's Moses. He takes them out of from Egypt, takes them towards the promised land. Gives them the 10 Commandments. He goes up to get other stuff. They come down. What do they got? What do they do? They got the idol, the golden idol, the calf golden idol. They're worshiping the golden idol. Everything that they're not supposed to do, right? So how does he respond to that? He responds to that like, just kill me. That's what he said to God. Is everything all right?
The battery died.
All right. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
I'll just talk loud. So he says, just kill me. I can't take it no more. Kill me. That's so human. That's how we are. I mean, come on. I think back in the 70s, they had the whole thing about the Jesus movement, which is nice. But it offered kind of like the Walt Disney type of thing. It's like when you follow God, it's hard. It's hard. We all deal with a lot of suffering. My wife died of cancer, really bad. I mean, she had cancer that spread all over her body. I took her home. I spent a month in the hospital with her. I took her home to hospice. I took care of her, and I fed her, I wiped her butt. What do you call it? I gave her meds, and I catheterized her because she couldn't urinate. So I catheterized her 4 or 5 times a day, And I washed her. I gave her meds at night, and I said to God, please let her go this way. You're next to me at night. I lay in bed with her. And she looked up and see me there, put a big smile on, and I said to myself, what a great way for her to go. And it didn't happen that way, So my kids came back. My son was a combat Marine too. He was a Marine officer, fought in Fallujah in Iraq. My daughter's a school teacher, but they're back because they know my wife's so sick, right? And so their friends took them out to dinner. So that night, she all of a sudden, she turns to me and she starts yelling to me, who are you? Who are you? I said, what are you talking about? Who I am? I'm your husband. What are you talking about? She goes, the cancer went to her brain. And then she's trying to pull out the catheter, So I called hospice. I said, whatever you do, get a knife, take it out. So I did. I held it down. She's screaming. I pulled it out. I cut it out so it wouldn't hurt herself, her insides. She's screaming like a lunatic. Who am I? Scared out of her mind. Urine's all over the place. I'm on the floor. I'm washing. Now, this is after years of work on Mother Teresa. I'm on the floor in Calcutta, the Philippines, in New York. I'm on the floor, I'm washing the urine. I'm trying to clean the room, and I'm tears. I saw a lot of combat. Like I said, I'm old now. I'm going to be 75 years old, but I'm still tough. I'm still strong. I still work with the kids that are incarcerated. That's my job right now. But that brought me to my knees. I was crying when I was cleaning that urine up. I had tears in my eyes. I was just bawling my eyes out. She had a clue who I was, and it's been a long time. It's been months and months and months. I was tired myself. Doesn't mean I don't love God. Doesn't mean I don't believe in God. But sometimes that happens. That could happen to you. It could be your child. My daughter was a great athlete. She was a soccer player for LaSalle. She played for Rhode Island College. She's a marathon runner. And at 36 years old, she gets this genetic disease, a mutant genetic disease no one heard of, didn't come from my wife or myself. So now she's got that polycystic kidney disease, she's got this type 1 diabetes, but it's the genetic diabetes, it's even worse. So I live with the thought of she might last 4, 5, 6 years. I'm raising my 16-year-old granddaughter too. So sometimes it's not easy. It's not all hunky-dory. I love God, but I love God with an acceptance. See, the difference between you have faith and when you believe in God, you love God, is you accept what happens with hope, as opposed to resign yourself to despair. I might as well put a gun to my head. You understand what I'm trying to say? So what do you call it? So that's important. Accept yourself with hope. That's what we get, And we have great moments when we really feel God's love. And to me, I see miracles with you know, with the praying over mother, over people with mother's relic with her blood. But yet it didn't. I couldn't. Nothing happened to my wife. Nothing. You know. So what really helped me was that I thought of Mary, the Blessed Mother, and I'm thinking, here she is. You know, the angel comes to her and says, "Whoa, you're going to be the mother of God. That's cool." You know what I'm saying? You know, don't be afraid. You know, you're going to do this. And she goes, "Yeah, the whole handmaid of the Lord." Right? And then those years, those big years, you know, Jesus is changing the water into wine, and he's curing people, and he's like a big celebrity, obviously, you know, really big. Of course, Mary's getting a lot of kudos that that's his mother, you know what I'm saying? But then down the road, it does changes, it shifts, you know. Now she's watching him get crucified. She's at the cross, you know what I mean? Hard, that's hard. She's the mother of God. This is her experience. So who am I to complain? So what I'm saying is, be fearless even when you're suffering. Really important. So going back to the South Bronx, I helped start a soup kitchen, men's shelter. I work with teenage gangs, and even there, I had a few run-ins. One guy there just got out of prison. He had a big machete one day. I used to get up and run to Yankee Stadium and back a 5-mile run. Early in the morning, he saw me, and they used to call me Hugo Juice because I used to run so much. So he's coming at me at the machete, he's telling me he's going to kill me. And I'm on one knee, and I'm looking at the cross of the church over there, and I'm saying, God, I came here to help people. But if he comes close, he starts swinging that thing, I'm going to take him out. I'm going to kill him, end of story. And so, you know, try to intervene, you know. So he's coming towards me, and I just look at him, stare right in his face, and all I could think of was how I'm going to take him down. Not a problem. I'm going to take him down, though. And then I was going to think, am I going to take him down and just take the weapon off him and choke him out, or just am I going to stab him with the weapon? I didn't want to do that. In my head, I'm trying to play it out. And then he sees that I'm fearless. I'm looking at him in the face like, yeah, what? What are you going to do? And he says, oh, it's you, Hugo. I got mistake. I thought you were someone else. You know, obviously, he knew who I was. You know what I mean? So that was one incident. So like just the same thing at the soup kitchen. We had men, women, and children. So when the guys come in drunk or high on heroin and stuff like that, you know, I toss them out. I ran the soup kitchen. I lived in the soup kitchen, the shelter. I lived in the shelter with the men, put them to bed, slept in the dorm, got them up. When they got stupid, they got in a fight, I tossed them out. So it's still, bouncer skills are still there. So it's amazing how God uses, you know, you think that, gee, what do I got to offer? God uses everything you have. I got one good story that's really nice. So this Father Cotton was a really great priest there, and he was getting old, so he had to go to Puerto Rico. So they said, you go with Father Cotton. He's old, you got to go with him. I didn't want to go, but I said, all right. So I went out there with him, had a great week, did what we had to do. So we're flying back, on the flight back, there's engine trouble. So they say, we got to turn around because we got serious engine trouble. So we're going to land back in Puerto Rico, we're going to give you another day, then we're going to fly out in the morning. So when we get there, this guy's screaming and yelling and carrying on. So so I go to him, I said, what's the problem? You all right? He said to me, he goes, you know, my wife told me not to go. When I get this gift from my mother, I want to bring it to her. I don't know what to do now, and, you know, this happened. So I said, where's your mom living? She goes, South Bronx. So I said, well, that's where I come from. He told me the address. He said, could you bring it to her? I said, all right. So my priest friend said later, he gave me the tags. So next day, we go back to New York. I got the tags, and my priest friend saying, oh my God, you're going to be a mule. You're going to take in the drugs, because back then it was all heroin. So all I got is a backpack. So I grab his bags, and there's rope and cardboard. I couldn't believe it, but they were heavy. So I grabbed one. Now there's lines, so there's all the, you know, custom agents are here, and everybody's in the line. I just go grab it, and I'm walking like this. I go all the way up to the glass door. The glass door opens. I put one down. No one says boo to me. I go all the way back. I get the second one. Same thing. I'm carrying it like this. Boom, put it down. No one says no. Get the third box. The third box is like this. I'm walking. I'm watching my priest friend, what do you call it? They're going through his clothes, right? And he's looking at me saying, he can't believe it. No one's touching me. No one's saying 2 words to me. I'm like invisible. I walked in, boom, I'm on the other side. I'm waiting for him. No one touched me. So it's a true story. So So he comes out, he goes, oh my God, it's gonna be hell when God's watching out for you, right? So we get back to the South Bronx. I said, let me buy your car so I can bring this stuff to this woman. So I go to the place, 9 floors up, of course the elevator doesn't work. And but I left the stuff in the trunk. So I bang on the door and I said, oh, Mrs. Rodriguez left a year ago and she's transit. I said, well, you got a phone address? He said, no. So now I know, what am I gonna do? So I come back and I go by the sisters' soup kitchen. So they're like my real sisters, because South Bronx is a real dangerous place. I work with them every day. They were all about the same age, so we were really close. We were all in our mid-20s. So they gave me a big hug. Oh, Hugo's back. And they said, how was the trip? And I told them, right. So I tell them, they told me that the soup kitchen was down to nothing. The money didn't come in. We didn't know how we fed 300 people. We just gave them salt and rice. We don't even have that for tomorrow. We're stuck. So I tell them the story about this guy with his big boxes, right? So I said, well, bring him in. Let's see what's in, right? Bring the boxes in. True story. So we get the box like this, not the big box. So me and Sister Bernard bend over, big knives will open up. We open up, we both jump back. Guess what it was? Anybody? It was a head of a cooked pig. A head of a cooked pig, 300-pound pig. We fed people for 4 days. And not only that, they had plastic. They had all the guts, like the Italians eat the soufrite. You know, they eat the guts and everything, you know. Even that, they had it in a plastic bag. They loved it. They went crazy. It was like a feast. It was a festival. It was like 4 days of food. And then, of course, the money came in. They could get the regular stuff. Now, what do you call that a coincidence? Here I am. I'm on a plane back. We turn around. I meet this guy. I grab his stuff. It's a cooked pig. I bring back to a soup kitchen a cooked pig. So that's what I'm saying. There's little miracles we see every day. I get to go to Calcutta, and sisters taught me how to be a medic, and I clean wounds. I gave injections. I actually went to Titagad. Sisters called me at 4 o'clock in the morning. So you got to go to Titagad. So I go to Titagad, which is a leper colony, and I helped amputate a woman's leg off and a man's foot off. So with the man's foot, I was saying to the Indian doctor who comes in maybe once a month to volunteer to do this, I said, I saw a lot of that in Nam, you know, like the gangrene. He goes, oh, not like this. I said, I don't know, it looks pretty close. He went just like this. He got a scalpel, he ran around the foot, and he grabbed the foot, and he snapped it right off. So I got a picture of him with the hole in the hand with the foot. So it just, you know, it was a typical day in Calcutta. So when you see, I mean, the poor there, the poverty, when you walk the streets, I mean, you walk the streets, everybody's living in the streets. They urinate and defecate on the side, on the curb, but they do it so beautifully. It's so dignified, you don't even notice it, you know. I pulled a man drinking out of a dirty, filthy puddle. And I went trying to get water from local stores on Park Street there. They wouldn't even help me, because he was untouchable. So they didn't want it. They wouldn't even look at it. They wouldn't bother. So that was, you know. So Calcutta, but Calcutta, I got worms and amoebas one time. I've been there 13 times, and another time I caught malaria really bad. I caught the one that goes to your brain. And when I went, they said to me, when I left the hospital, they said to me, they told me later, they said, we didn't think you're going to make it. You know, we were shocked to see you come back. So I survived that, and then they said, they got the other malaria that hides in your blood. But they said, if you got one chromosome, you got this one particular chromosome, we can get rid of it. So they tested me for the chromosome, and I had it. So I got lucky on that too, you know. So that, you know, again, it was a beautiful experience working with the sisters. It was a beautiful experience being in Mother's presence. One time, now, is everybody familiar with the Gelabanda story of Spain? Gelabanda story? You know, that's one of the seers. One of the girls, she was. This is 1960s. She was, the Blessed Mother appeared to a bunch of little girls. It was in Spain. So I got Mother Teresa in the car, driving Mother Teresa. I got Sister Andrea, Mother Teresa, Sister Rochelle, and I got Bishop Fulton Sheen. Now, I don't know if everybody's young. I don't know, maybe some of you older members here could remember Bishop Fulton Sheen, but real holy man, most brilliant man I ever met. And he was awesome. He really was. So I have them in the car. He's up for canonization, too. And we went to see the seer, Conchita, who the Blessed Mother appeared to. We went to her house, and she's got this, we walked in her house, she's got this life-size 6-foot statue of Michael at the door. and to protect her family, you know. So when we got back in the car, they were saying, Bishop Sheen and Mother Teresa were both saying they really believed that she really saw the Blessed Mother. So that was a pretty cool story. 2 weeks ago, I'm in Florida. My buddy is going to have surgery for cancer, and he said to me, come with me for a few days. He works construction. He's got a Mason business. He says, come for 2-3 days with me, so I don't have to go down there by myself. I said, all right. So I talked to my principal. He said, no problem. So we went down there together, caught beautiful days. So one day we're coming back from the beach to the hotel, and there's an outside bar. So he says, let's get a drink. So I said, great. So we're sitting down. So I got my motorcycle hat on backwards. And there's another guy with his wife across from the bar. So he looks at me and he says, what kind of bike you ride? I said, I ride a Fat Boy Harley. He says, and he told me the bike he rode. So we went back and forth. And then he said to me, where are you from? I said, I'm from back east. I said, where are you from? He says, I'm from North Carolina. But he didn't sound like he was from North Carolina. He had like a really well-educated diction. So I said to him, so we're going back and forth, and he said, I was in the service for a long time. I said, really? I said, who were you with? He says, I was at the Marines. He very proudly said, I'm a Marine. So it means Staff Sergeant. So I pull up my sleeve. I got a tattoo from here to here, from my shoulder to my arm. And he does the same thing. He shows me his tattoo. And so we're talking. And we talked Marine stories. We traded Iraq stories, Nam stories. And I told my son was in Iraq. Real good conversation. His wife was with him. She's a Puerto Rican girl. A real sweetheart, and he's in his 50s. So then he says, but I'm originally from El Salvador. So I said, El Salvador, I said, that's where they killed Romero, the Archbishop. And he said, yeah. He said, that's right. He said, and they killed 3 good friends of mine. And he said, who's that? I said, Ida Ford, Maura Clark, and Jeannie Donovan. They were Marino missionaries, 2 nuns and 1 lay missionary. I said, in fact, the day they got killed, they were with me having lunch. They flew down there. Another nun picked them up, driving to their mission. Soldiers pulled them over, raped and murdered them. So I said that. I said, I knew him, you know. He came running over, and he shows me these pictures. His grandfather was the president of El Salvador. So I looked at him, I said, because he spoke really well, and he was well educated. So I looked at him, I says, you come from millions. And he goes, yes. In other words, you're privileged. In other words, he was royalty, El Salvador royalty. And when he eloped with his wife because to them, he married beneath who he was, you know. So he said, I chose to be an American. I chose to be a Marine. He said, and that's what I am, and that's what I do. I chose to walk away from that life. So, you know, again, you never know where God's going to lead you. One of my friends died, and there was no funeral for him, no wake or nothing. So I had a big thing for him, a time for him. 70 people came. And a lot of guys they were between the ages of 70, 79, a lot of mob guys. So I told them the story, I said, of the good thief. And I says, you know, I want you guys to listen to this story. I says, here they are now. Those dungeons back then were low. So when they're looking out to the courtyard, they can see, you know, they can see the courtyard from their head. So they're looking out, and of course, Jesus is a celebrity. Who's this Jesus guy? You know, he's the guy that, you know, I work with lepers. I picked up a leper in the street in Calcutta. Horrendous smell. Their body, their flesh is eating off their face. The smell was so bad, I was in Seattle, the train station, giving bread and medicine out to people there, and I thought it was a nest of rats, and I moved the sacks, the potato sacks there, the sacks that were there, and all of a sudden something grabbed my leg, and I jumped back. I thought it was a rat or something. It was a hand. I moved the rest of the sacks out, and it's a leper. He said, please don't let me die here. Please don't let me die here. So I came back. I tried to get a stretcher for him. No stretchers were available. The ambulance wasn't available. Picked him up, and I carried him to a way station about a mile away. And I said, this is Jesus in the distress in disguise. That's because that's what Mother would have did. So this is Jesus. He cures the lepers, right? Which is a hideous disease, right? Here's the guy that he heals the main. In other words, when your legs are shriveled up like this and your arms are shriveled up like that, and he touches them and makes them, elongates them. It's not like, you know, that's different. That's a big miracle, you know. He puts the mud on the people's eyes and they can see again. I mean, he heals so many people. That poor woman was bleeding and bleeding all those years. And she touches him, he's healed. I mean, they're impressed. Who is this guy, right? So They're tough guys. They're thugs. The good thief, the thieves on the cross, they're not there for death. You think they're being crucified because they robbed someone's store? I mean, you know, they're there because they murdered, they killed, they maimed. They probably killed some Roman soldiers too. You know, so they're thugs. So, but they're watching and they're seeing Jesus. They take him to the courtyard. They put a thing over their head, a bag over his head, and they're tagging him as hard as they can. And they're tagging Jesus in the face, and they're saying, "Who's hitting you? Who's hitting you?" Right? That's their game. You know, you're Jesus. Which one of us is hitting you? So, of course, that's why Jesus' eyes are all swollen up. He's all beat up. So then after that, of course, they do they take him and they put him on a pillow and they start whipping him. And they do it 39 times. They can't do it 40, only 39 times. Most people are passed out by 10, 15. Usually after that, people just die. Again, they die from shock. Jesus took the full 39. So again, tough guy. And then, you know, he carries the cross. So they get up there and they put the crown on his head. They watch him do the whole thing, and he never winks. He doesn't say anything, right? So now they're on the cross. They're hanging out, and one of the guys goes. They're all taunting Jesus. The guys, the bystanders, are looking up and they're taunting him. And the guy, one of the guys on the cross says, "What are you doing? Help us out here. You got all this power. Get us down. I mean, we're suffering. You got those big nails in us. You know, they're in agony. Everybody's in agony. It's a horrible death, right?" So the other guy goes, "Listen, we did everything wrong. We belong here. This guy did everything good. Leave him alone." And he looks and he says, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Right? And Jesus looks up and says, "From this day, you'll be with me in paradise." Now, I want you to think about this, right? No confession, no communion, no baptism, no bar mitzvah, no acts of good works, right? But he gets in. He gets in before the scribes and Pharisees and some of the priests. How does he get in? What does he do? What does it that gets him in? Anybody?
He knows Jesus.
He has a humble heart. And that's what Jesus, for the whole Bible, even in the Psalms, it's always about having a humble heart. So at the end, the last hour before he died, he had a humble heart. And that's what we all need, to keep that humble heart. That's what it's all about. It's the vineyard story. Look at us, we're all work construction. I hired this guy right here. I like that number one, Holly there. So I hire him $200 a day. He's going to work construction for me, right? We're going to put in sewer lines. You're coming in at 7 o'clock in the morning, 200 is a fair price, great. You come in, I'm hiring you at 8 o'clock, giving you the same 200. You come in, I'm hiring you at 10 o'clock, right? I'm going to still give you the 200. Friday, you come in at 12 o'clock, I'm going to still give you the 200, right? This gentleman right here, he comes in at 2 o'clock, I'm going to still give him the 200, right? This gentleman with the beard right here, I'm going to 4 o'clock, I'm going to still give him the 200. So we're all saying, "Oh, this guy's saying to me, what are you doing? I'm working all day. What, I get the same amount of money?" See, in God's mind, not ours, the way we look at it, man looks at it, it's like, that's unfair. But the guy that came in at 6 o'clock or the last hour, that's the good thief on the cross. You know, he gets in, you know, because that's how God looks at it. It's always about mercy. That's why I love God. I love God because he's a merciful God. I love God the Father because he's a holy God. Imagine if we didn't have a holy God. We got a holy, merciful, loving God. Mother Teresa used to say something that always was stuck in my mind. She used to say, God and Jesus cleave. They cleave for us. Cleave for us. God wants to love you. The biggest sin that we do is not love God. That's the biggest sin. Not trusting in God, not loving God. And that's the whole thing. That's what it's all about. Here it is. It's years later. I get sisters for my 50th birthday sent me this beautiful picture of Mother Teresa. Then after that, 1997, Sister Andrea sends me a letter. Sister Andrea was a doctor. Mother Teresa sent to med school. She's from Germany, brilliant woman, went to med school in India, came in #1 in her class. She won a plaque. Mother Teresa says, "What are you doing? You got an office. You don't have an office. Give it back." So she did. Sister Andrea gave it to the second one that came in second got the plaque. But my Sister Andrea, before Mother dies, she's in the operating room. And what happened is a shunt came out. The lights went out, shunt came out, blood came out. She got the syringe, picked up the blood. So she made 3 cards. She made one which says Mother, right? She wrote it, laminated it, sent it to me. So she said to me, "This is the blood of Mother Teresa." She said, "I want you to pray with people for healings." So I write back, I said, don't give it to me. Give it to a priest. What are you giving it to me for, you know? She says, no, I want you to do it. So I don't know what to do with it. I put it in the drawer. So a friend of mine has a mason business. He gets cancer really bad. They cut they take all his teeth out of his mouth, and they were going to cut his tongue out. But he only had a few weeks to live, so he says, forget it. You're not going to cut my tongue. I only have a few weeks to live anyways. His wife hears that I got the relic, and she says, can you go pray over him? I never prayed over anybody. I don't know what to do. So I get the relic. I put my hands over it, and I asked Mother to pray with me. And I said, I would die for your sisters. I said, die for them. I said, and you know that. I put my life on the line a lot of times for them. I said, this is a real close friend of mine. Help me out here. He lived another 20 years. So, I mean, this is, you know, I've just seen so much. And again, I'm no healer. I'm nothing. Believe me, I'm nobody and nothing. I'm just a privileged observer. That's how I look at it. So a girl came, she had, they opened her up, she had pancreatic cancer. So when I take the tumor out, it was so bad, they sewed her back up and said, just go home, go to hospice, you know, time to end this. And, you know, put your life in order because you only got a few weeks. So her girlfriend calls and asks me if I go pray over, right? So in my mind, I'm saying, gee, you know, what am I going to do? How's this going to help, right? That's what I'm thinking. So I go over there, pray over her, do the same thing. I ask Mother, put your hands underneath mine. Plus, Sister Priscilla and Nirmala, all close friends of mine, they're all on the other side with Mother Teresa. And I ask them, pray with me, you know, help me out here. I'm nobody, just put your hands underneath mine, right? So, but I'm thinking, walking out of there, this woman's dead. Her girlfriend calls me up 2 weeks, hysterical, crying in tears. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm so sorry about your friend Ann. She seems like such a nice person. She says, no, you don't understand. The tumor is gone. The tumor is gone. I had another kid. I was in New York. I was at a conference there. I couldn't leave. I was there for 10 days. He took a heart attack and a stroke, and he was on. He was in a coma. And they said that they were telling his mom to, you need to, you know, call it a day, pull the plug on him. So my wife called me and said, you got to come back. I said, can't. I spent all this money. I can't leave now, right? So I couldn't. So I waited the 10 days. I came back. I thought the kid died. So he said, no, they're still waiting for you. He said, the mother won't pull a plug until you go first. So I go there. There's 20 people there. We all pray together. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. Sometimes I'm just amazed. And he came back 2 hours later. He came out of the coma. They kept him a month because they figured there's going to be some cognitive damage. He had no cognitive damage. So I had somebody come. Rick Varia sent me somebody last year. A guy had stage 4 cancer, had a tumor. He came with his 2 little kids. In fact, my dog Duke, the shepherd that was outside, he just sat on the couch with them to keep him nice and calm. Prayed over him. Rick got him a better doctor in Boston. He went to the doctor in Boston. They went to do a biopsy. Tumor was gone. So yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff. You know, I've seen a lot of miracles. I've seen people die in peace. Here's what I think. That goes back to when I was a kid in Vietnam, and I'm saying, well, why does he get to live? And I come back with survival guilt. You know, when you see so much combat, you come back with survival guilt, just like that Saving Private Ryan. He goes, was I a good man? Because you've seen so many people die, it's like, well, why am I alive? Well, I'm no better than anybody. So here's what I think. This is my own theory. I'm nobody and nothing, but this is what I think. I think that Mother Teresa, when she died, a phenomenon happened. About 150 sisters died after her, young sisters. So they asked Sister Nirmala, they said, well, why is all these young sisters dying? Sister Nirmala said, Mother needs them on the other side. And I believe that. I believe that. What do you think? We're going to go back to a cloud. We die, it's going to be like we're in La La Land. I don't think so at all. When Jesus came back, the first thing he said was, fear not. Don't be afraid of me. Give me something to eat. Feel my body. I'm alive. I'm no ghost. That's what he said. Fear not. You know. So what did he do? While he was there, he did a few things, and he made food. He made breakfast for the apostles. He had long talks with them. He tried to explain to them what's going on. And before he said goodbye to them. So I think that, we're on this side and we're on the other side. So when I think of the people that died when they were younger, I really believe that God's got something for them to do on the other side. They're busy on the other side doing what they need to do, the way we're busy on this side doing what we need to do. Everybody understand that? All right, guys. God bless.